very important word, the word imagine. We talked about the word hallucination, very similar, because imaginations are really just hallucinations. And unfortunately, the world right now is aiding and abetting an imagination right now. All the nations that people have put their allegiance to in the legal world are all I Magi nations. And that's why you meet up with I magistrate when you go in to a court session that governs their legal jurisdiction. We're bringing up this word imagine because there was a very historic event happened with someone who was very much involved in what we call legal records. All the recording history, everything that you do in society is based on title and recordings. In fact, the court even records what you do. So they're always cutting a record. And in the case of the Beatles, John Lennon seemed to be someone who basically seemed to be going down a rebellion journey that led eventually to his demise, at least in my opinion. And I'm not trying to tell you that I have some kind of inside knowledge. I can only just join the dots on this. And so I'm just leaving that at the best that I can possibly come to a conclusion on. So when you look at the word imagine and what the definition I'm about to read you out of Black's Law 4th edition, it'll bring what happened with John to a conclusion, because he did an overt act that was read by the crown to be treason, because he took a picture, placed it on an album with his face on it, and then printed the words imagine, which is very, very important to understand, because in English law, that means something. So that wasn't just done by chance. He knew he was sending a message out through what he believed the way he could reach the audiences of the population, to create possibly a rebellion or a thought against authority in the legal sense. And so therefore he was committing treason on the legal citizenship. When he did that, of course, there is going to be a reaction to your action. And so therefore there were consequences for this. So when I read this, we're going to understand, because the crown, of course, operates religion, which is the Anglican Church, the Church of England, which is a branch of Papal Rome, according to their constitution. And you can check that out in the Laws of England. I'm not going to go down that and have to grab another book out for that. At this point, you'll have to maybe go back to one of the previous videos to, basically confirm what I'm talking about. But the situation of the crown, religion is very, very important, because they control the belief system in a spiritual way, so to speak, but down a legalized secular way. And so as the branch of Papal Rome, they're heavily involved in legal title and the idea of church, which operates the surname. And then on top of it, they operate, of course, what is considered to be crown government authority, the divine right of kings. So when I read this definition, I think it'll bring clarity why he ended up in his situation of execution, because he basically decided to turn his back on those that he was getting rewards, benefits, and privileges from, while he decided not to leave that realm or leave that ship. He decided to stay in it and then start shooting arrows of treason and mutiny against it. So I'm going to read the definition of imagine. In English law, in cases of treason, the law makes it a crime to imagine the death of the king. But in order to complete the crime, this act of the mind must be demonstrated by some overt act. So when he did the album Imagine as a legal recording, he put his face on it, he put a target on himself, and he turned his back on them, and then they shot him in the back. So who may have done this is always going to remain a question as far as who instigated it. But I'm just saying, from what he did, it would appear that this would be the consequence from those in control of legal authority, being the crown authority that he was receiving royalties from with his legal title that he was using to obtain those legal monetary rewards. we'll call it the monetary legal surname rewards. So unfortunately, membership may have its benefits and privileges, but it may also have its terrible ramifications if you decide to not comply and remain in.